Welcome back. We are following Tropical Storm Claudette as it makes its way towards the northwestern part of Florida. A lot of very heavy rain with it. There could be some gusty wind as well. And joining us to talk more about that is our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons.
And in fact, just in the last couple of seconds here, some new information. The wind's upped to 50 miles per hour.
That's right. In a small little quadrant on the east side of the circulation, the Air Force Reserve hurricane hunters found a little stronger wind. That's going to be a very localized area, and we expect generally the winds to stay low enough that it's not going to do any damage to your home or anything like that. So our wind damage potential is relatively low with this system, even if it strengthens a little bit more. The rainfall potential is still there, and in some localized areas we could see some street flooding, and in low-lying ditches or something we could see some overflow of water there. So that's our biggest impact. Water rise relatively small. We're expecting only about a high tide at low tide type of a variety, about 1 to 3 feet or less, depending on where you are. And wave action is only running about 4 to 7 feet in most of the areas. So we're not expecting a big impact from anything but primarily the rainfall. All right, let's look at why. First of all, you can see the wave action out here at all the buoys and all the observations from ships. 4 to 7 feet is about all we can find there. So that's good news. And you can see that the overall wind field is relatively small. Those winds that they're finding are in a very tiny core that is going to last about an hour, hour and a half as it pushes on the coast in the next 3 to 5 hours. So this is not going to be a big wind event, not going to be a damaging wind event, and not going to be a big marine event. But there's a lot of tropical moisture in there. There's a circulation center right there, just off the coast. And if it continues to move in the direction it's moving right now, it's going to skirt right up to the coast there and then slide along the coast toward Panama City over the next 6 to 8 hours. Rainfall 2 to 4 inches. Locally, we could see as much as 6 inches of rain if some of these bands of rain come in and train over the same area. So that's our biggest concern with this tropical storm is the rain threat, not the marine threat. And by the way, as we look at the overall picture of what's going on there with respect to the track, already the winds have come around to the southeast along the Florida Peninsula. So all the Florida Peninsula wind is directed offshore. There's not going to be any water rise, and the wave action at the coast is relatively minor. So it's really, in this area, we expect some minor water rise, some winds in a very small area, and then in a broader area with the rain spreading west with time across the Florida Panhandle over the next 24 hours. So a relatively minor impact from this, but nevertheless, be careful of the flooding rain, especially if you're driving.
And Steve, a couple of more tropical storms to watch, and they really couldn't be more different in terms of intensity and character.
That's right. We have a couple of them, very interesting features. One of them has been Anna, already dissipated once and then came back to life again, and it's pushing very quickly toward the Antilles at about 23 miles per hour. The good news is here, the stronger winds are well to the north, and they're not very broad area of 40-mile-per-hour winds, though. So it's going to be a relatively minor impact there to the Antilles. And to the south of the center, there's virtually no wind. You're going to have a lot lighter winds than normal in Barbados the next 24 hours. That's the good news with that. We'll continue to watch it as it's projected to continue to move over the northern islands, get sort of mixed up with the islands and weaken even more and become a tropical depression as it enters the Gulf of Mexico in the 4 to 5 day time frame if it stays alive. Now, farther out, we have Tropical Storm Bill, and this is forecast to become a hurricane later tonight or tomorrow, and it's on a track toward the west-northwest. We think it's going to turn a little more northwest as it strengthens, and that's going to take it toward the islands, but then a little bit north of the islands. And through time, we think if it strengthens as much as the forecast from the Hurricane Center indicates, it's a major hurricane, we may shift the track even farther north, which would be great news for the east coast of the United States. Too early to do that yet.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. And now, as if the explosion of Atlantic activity isn't enough, we've also got storms rumbling through the upper Midwest.
Now, we're going to have the very latest on that coming right up.